Yo, what's up everybody? I've been wanting to make Pikmin related content on my channel for a very long time. And one of the things I've been wanting to do, to kind of kick that off, is I wanted to talk about every single entry in the Piklopedia. Now, as you can already see, my Piklopedia doesn't have every single enemy filled. I'm actually doing Pikhacker's multiplayer mod with my girlfriend, and it's her first time ever playing through Pikmin, and I don't currently have a save file set up on my Nintendo PC, so I can't exactly look at a full complete Piklopedia, but don't worry, I know what most of the numbers are, and the ones I don't know I'm gonna cross-reference on the wiki, so I'm gonna have something to say about all of them. But generally, you know, I've got some water here, and I want to talk about my opinion on every single enemy in the Piklopedia. So we're going to start that off with the very first enemy that you run into in the game, obviously. We're going to start that off talking about the Dwarf Red Bulborb. So the Dwarf Red Bulborb is honestly a really great common enemy in Pikmin 2. I should mention, I'm talking about these enemies in the context of Pikmin 2. I'm not talking about, unless explicitly mentioning, I'm not going to mention how they are in other games. I'm not mentioning their variations of from other games, unless explicitly mentioned. This is referring to how they appear in Pikmin 2 specifically. I'll talk about the Piklopedia in Pikmin 1, Pikmin 3, and Pikmin 4 at some point in the future as well. I'll also maybe go through the treasure hoards, I don't know. But we're going to talk about the enemies, we're going to talk about the bugs. So, you know, first one here, we've got the Dwarf Red Bulborb. I think they're an amazing common enemy. I think that they exemplify everything you want from a general Pikmin creature. They have a super iconic design, they're eye-catching immediately. They have, you know, very goofy expressions, they're threatening while also still being kind of cute. And they squeak when you crit them. You know, they're an enemy that teaches you how to crit. They teach you how to throw Pikmin. They teach you how to swarm. They teach you the basics of everything, really. And except for when they're spammed, like in the Wistful Wild, like the Cavern of Chaos, they're honestly really great. No notes. I think that the Dwarf Red Bulborb and the Red Bulborb itself, which we're going to get to, is really the perfect antagonist for the Pikmin. I just think they're wonderful little creatures. Also, since multiple people have picked a series up doing it and no one's finished it, I will also one day be eating every single Pikmin creature, so look forward to that when I find a recipe for the Red Bulborb. Speaking of the Red Bulborb, look at this guy. Moving straight on to number 2 on our list, the Red Bulborb. This big motherfucker is the main antagonist of the Pikmin series, I would say. He's the guy that's on the box art, he's the guy that's in the short videos. The Red Bulborb's the guy you know. And we love him. We love the Red Bulborb. We love the sounds, we love the jiggliness of the ass, we love the chicken feet. And he's perfect. He's perfect. I wouldn't change anything about the Red Bulborb. I love him. Not too threatening. A swarm of 20 Pikmin, not a problem. You just fight him in the back. Really easy to kill. Really easy to get your first big win. It's great. They are, you know, so much less threatening than they were in Pikmin 1. In Pikmin 1, if you didn't have 50 Pikmin, swarming a Bulborb was just a fucking awful idea. In Pikmin 2, 20 Pikmin is well more than enough to take one of these down with relative ease. Speaking of 20 Pikmin, you don't even need 20 Pikmin for the hairy Bulborb. I love the hairy Bulborb's aesthetic, especially when he's got all that hair on him, but oh my god, he is a weakling. He goes down very, very easy. I think he might be a little bit too weak, but he is in the first cave, so I guess that makes sense. I wish they were used more frequently, and I wish they posed a little bit more of a threat. I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me that they weren't used more frequently, since they are so weak. Especially in the Valley of Repose, but the Valley of Repose ends up being more of an endgame area than an early game area anyway, once you come back for it later on. So, moving on, we got the Orange Bulborb. Orange Bulborb is probably my favorite variant of Bulborb in the game, because they are just actively very threatening. They can eat a ton of Pikmin in one bite, they are super hard to go back to sleep, they have a huge range, and this guy sucks at eating this Pick Carrot, but Orange Bulborbs in general are a ton of fun to fight, they are very threatening. I mean, they always keep their eyes open when they're sleeping. Look at that freaking guy. What a weirdo. They're just tough enemies. They are much tougher than the other forms of Bulborbs we've seen so far. And I like them. I like them a lot. Much more so than their spotty counterpart, the Spotty Bulbear. I think what they did to the Bulbear in this game is awful. I hate the open pathing. I hate that these guys can jump you. Like, the Bulbear not sleeping, I'm okay with. But, man, with random cave generation, you can just get jumped by a Bulbear before you even know what's happening. I don't find most of Pikmin 2's difficulty to be terrible or awful. I actually am quite a big fan of how much harder Pikmin 2 is than the rest of the series. But the Bulbear in particular just always seems to get in my way in particular. It's very good at sneaking up on you when you're not ready for it, or jumping you in the middle of an already much more difficult encounter. I gotta say, as much as I'm complaining about him out loud, I do really appreciate all these things and how much more difficulty they add to the caves. I think the Spotty Bulbear, while being something in my brain I associate with negatively, I think overall makes the caves that he's in a much more memorable encounter for sure. Especially because he's always carrying around dwarf Bulbears themselves, which dwarf Bulbears not too much more threatening than any of the other dwarf Bulbear variants. Still a pretty big fan of all of them. I feel relatively similar about all the dwarfs. They kind of all fill the same role, except for this motherfucker here. The, I can't remember what these things are called. Like the newborn Bulborbs? Like the infant Bulborbs? Let's see, I'm pretty sure I have the list up. Bulborb larva. Yeah, these things fucking suck. Being able to just kill your Pikmin in what feels like one frame, instant bite, instant death, and being in such crowded arenas, they are menaces. They're terrible. Genuinely a horrible enemy. Like, genuinely horribly implemented. Probably my least favorite thing in the entire game. More than anything else, I think Bulborb larva just suck, and the game might actually just be better if they weren't in it. Only Bulborb miss, really. Like, only Bulborb family miss. The rest of the Bulborb family I quite love. But the Bulborb larva, they really suck. Fiery Bulblax... The Fiery Bulblax, on its own, as an enemy, I really have no problems with. But my biggest issue with the Fiery Bulblax is, I believe it's the Frontier Cavern, where they just, like, have a cave, or just... one of the rooms is 3 Fiery Bulblaxes, and that's about it. It just feels like a very lazy enemy. The 2 other places it appears near water, I do really like it as a puzzle. I think it's an excellent, like, mini-boss for other types of Pikmin. But, I don't know. I feel like it's underutilized. I feel like it would be better off used in other places. I really don't know how else I would say it, but, like, the Fiery Bulblax... a very interesting enemy that wasn't utilized to its full potential. It's just kind of spammed in a room, and then it's used well in the Submerged Castle. But that's about it. I don't know. Not a miss for sure, but not implemented as well as it could have been. Very cool design, though. I love that it's like melting wax. It's like got such a gross face, misshapen eyes. Like his whole body is struggling to stay together. It's a genuinely phenomenal design, and honestly a great enemy. I just wish it was used better. Water Dumples were made to fuck me in particular. Water Dumples suck. I hate Water Dumples. I primarily fight with swarming. I'm gonna mention swarming a lot because it is my primary method of fighting. Swarming a Dumple, unless you have enough to insta-kill it, but so it lets go your Pikmin, sucks. It is a horrible strategy. Throwing Pikmin at Dumples can really nullify a lot of their big issues, but damn, these things are fast. Damn, these things eat a lot of Pikmin quickly. They really are just like straight up Bulborbs. Not dwarfs, just straight up Bulborbs, but they come in packs. They're scary! Very, very underrated enemy, in my opinion. I think they're much more of a threat, especially in a crowd situation, than most other enemies can be, honestly. They're very tough to deal with if you're in a pack dealing with something else. Everyone loves Bulbmin, right? Bulbmen have such an adorable design. They're so cute. And the big Bulbman is just kind of like a weak Bullbear. So all of the both praise and negativity I can give to the Bullbear, I can give to the main adult Bulbman. But Bulbmen themselves, they're just so good. Pikmin 2's cave design is so excellent. The idea of just like being locked in a dungeon where you can't repopulate, and every decision you make, you're just kind of stuck with. You know, by design, obviously. If you save scum, you can nullify a lot of the difficulty. But I'm assuming you're not. If you're 10 minutes into watching this video, you probably don't save scum in Pikmin, or at least you understand that the games aren't meant to be played that way. So you understand that being deep into a cave, like multiple sublevels deep, seeing a Bulbman walking around, and just knowing that you can get a soft little replenish, even if they can't come with you, just a soft little replenish, or an easy way to make cave Pikmin, like purple or whites, it's just so nice. Bulbmen give you this just like a hit of dopamine every time you see them, because they really are little superheroes, being able to tackle every obstacle. They can do so much for you, and it's so easy to just not lose very many Pikmin whenever you fight the Bulbman father/mother. It just gives you, I don't know, I love seeing Bulbmen, I love using Bulbmen, they make funny sounds, they make it really easy to convert other types of Pikmin, and Bulbmen themselves are very strong. So just like getting them in your party feels good. It feels good, and they can really be like the oasis in the desert whenever you're deep in a cave and you've made a couple mistakes. It's a very punishing game, Pikmin 2, if you make consistent mistakes, and Bulbmen are one of the very few leniencies that the game can give you later on. The Fiery Blowhog, returning from the Forest Navel in Pikmin 1. These guys got a real significant nerf in this game. Pretty much every elemental creature did, except like lightning ones, but I mean that's a new element in this game. Fire in this game is not a hazard, like, at all. Losing Pikmin to fire is a challenge. Fire is not threatening at all. You have like a billion years to whistle them. And Fiery Blowhogs in this game, like, there's no reason to not just dump your purples on these guys. The only time you're gonna lose Pikmin for, like, either of these Blowhog variants here is if you just, like, are asleep at the wheel, or they decide to launch your Pikmin off a cliff in one of the cliff-based, like, one of the giant caves that has really easy out-of-bounds, like the rust types and whatnot. Fiery Blowhogs, I mean, it's a classic design. It is a very iconic Pikmin enemy. The sunken-in blue eye, the fire, which it didn't do for some reason. Just the kind of, like, water balloon kind of look to it. Again, classic Pikmin enemy design. But despite how recognizable they are as a Pikmin enemy, I gotta say, they're probably one of the old, like, the long-timers I feel very little towards. And that mostly comes to Pikmin 2 being my favorite Pikmin game, I think. Because these guys are just kind of a joke. You know, the Watery Blowhog's not much different. But, like, water might be even less of a hazard. These guys barely ever show up. And whenever they do show up, they're not too far from water. So in the rare instances that I have a ton of blues with me in Pikmin 2, there's almost always a Watery Blowhog. So, like, what are they for? What are they going to accomplish? Having, like, well, moving on from these Blowhogs into the Cannon Beetle larvae, I think the Cannon Beetle larvae are so much more threatening than their adult counterpart in Pikmin 1. The adult Cannon Beetle, once you understand how it works, like, to the level of, like, a fucking 4-year-old, it's completely non-threatening. It is a joke of a boss fight. Cannon Beetle larvae, these things suck to deal with. The rocks, they shoot rocks so frequent. They spam so many of these in so many areas. If you don't immediately know a cave layout, and you aren't paying attention for Cannon Beetle larvae, you can just get screwed. This problem is exacerbated by the decorated Cannon Beetles. Of course, you know, decorated Cannon Beetles, you can manipulate their rocks because they're magnetized. And they'll, like, go back, and you can use them to kill other enemies, which is great, especially in, like, a randomizer. I do a lot of Pikmin Squared Chaos Randomizer, and I really appreciate decorated Cannon Beetles and Cannon Beetles for being able to take out, like, smoky progs and whatnot. But, like, in the context of Pikmin 2, where these guys are actually used, especially right there on the fucking water in the Valley of Repose. God, these things suck to deal with. There's 2 of them, just right when you come up from the water, and it's such an open hallway that, like, if you have a crowd of Pikmin, your first time being there, you're just gonna get flattened. There's, like, so little you can do about it if you just don't know how to deal with these guys. I definitely think that cannon beetles and rocks in general are really tough hazards to deal with, and they get easier, obviously, as you play more Pikmin. But as like a new player, these things are like the ultimate noob trap. Like, you are given no time whatsoever to figure out how to deal with them, and you just, like, lose. And honestly, they're sick as hell for that. More games should do that. Puffy Blowhog. Again, quite substantially less important, I would say, than his Pikmin 1 counterpart, as all Blowhogs tend to be in this game. But hey, at least he still looks kind of cool. I like the Puffy Blowhog's design. I think he looks very funny. He blows your Pikmin. That's about it. But, like, I don't know. I have been put into, like, maybe one scenario where a cave generated and put a Puffy Blowhog in a bad area, and I was kind of stressed about it, but, like, the Puffy Blowhog and the Withering Blowhog, both of these guys here, they both suffer so hard from purples being in the game. Because you just throw a purple Pikmin, and it's over. Like, the Snitch Bug, we'll get to that too, but the Snitch Bug is the same way. Where one purple Pikmin really does nullify this guy's whole existence, and if there's ever a point in time where you don't have a purple Pikmin, you kind of deserve what's coming to you. Yeah, the Withering Blowhog, I think it's a little bit more interesting because it does completely unflower your party, and you can be put into some chokehold scenarios where he can screw you over. Not having flower Pikmin in this game does actually matter quite a bit when there's lots of enemies like the Armored Cannon Beetle larva that can shoot out rocks and own you, or caves that have multiple layouts with bomb rocks, Dirigibugs everywhere, and volatile Dweevils. They can very easily make your entire party lost to media, so having the flower to protect you, then having your flowered Pikmin actually be able to, like, keep up with you is really important for dodging all that stuff. And the Withering Blowhog is a very cool enemy for just being able to unmature your Pikmin. As easy it is to mature them in Pikmin 2, and how many options you're given to do so, it is cool that there's something that's just, like, consistently in the way in the mid to late game to make that more of an actual threat. And the Withering Blowhog is where I got my name from. Look at that guy. I just think it's a very cool name. The Gatling Groink. The Gatling Groink, I think, is the emblematic. What happened to my music? Let's fix that. I'm sorry, everybody. I hit the loop button, but I guess I didn't want to. I think the Gatling Groink is the emblematic Pikmin 2 enemy. I think that anybody who hates the Gatling Groink, or, like, just has, like, a genuine, actual hatred of this thing, and doesn't like its implementation, and would prefer Pikmin 2 if it wasn't in it, I mean, I just don't think they get it. They don't understand. Because the Gatling Groink, everything about it exemplifies what makes the caves and Pikmin 2 as a whole work. At least for me. I love how much time management this dude puts on you by just having... He himself walks around. Him walking around, much like a bull bear, forces you to have to deal with him at some point. Because he will draw aggro, and unlike you, he has a giant face shield and a lot of range. The Gatling Groink doesn't entirely squad wipe your Pikmin. His shots don't always kill. A lot of the times they just trip. So he's a lot more threatening than he actually... He's a lot less threatening than he lets on. But though just the way that he works, the way that you encounter the Groink, you are incentivized to make him the priority target. He has a very distinct stepping sound. So you hear him, you know, oh fuck, there's a Gatling Groink. I need to deal with that immediately. His raw aura just oozes pressure. You are forced to deal with him when you know about him. I didn't mean to freeze him. I'm sorry. I didn't even know you could do that in the Piklopedia. Oh, that's cool. Oh, it's the Z button. That's so cool. I didn't know that. Anyway, yeah, the Gatling growing. He will shoot down crowds of Pikmin. They put him on towers. They put him in caves and whatnot. They put him in the middle of the Wistful Wild, and they make him a priority target. And I think that's very cool. It's very cool to have just like such a centralizing beast in an average cave floor. They're extremely strong enemies, but they're not the most threatening thing in the world, and you can learn how to deal with them. And then the timer starts when you kill them. Once you've killed them, you are then forced to carry the body back and deal with it. So you're also somewhat incentivized to bring them closer to your base, which means that you're going to be putting them in a more risky area so that you can deal with them quickly. That way you can bring the body back before anything gets up. Or you're incentivized to keep more white Pikmin with you so that you can move his body quickly. White Pikmin are so strong in Pikmin 2 for their carry speed, and being able to deal with the enemies like the Bull Bear and the Gatling Groink, pulling those bodies back, it just shows the kind of level of balance they put into the game, where they can make Pikmin that seem like weaker types, like whites, do so much, like being able to carry the Gatling Groink back quickly, and how much trouble that can actually save you. I don't know. I love the Gatling Groink. I think its design is funny. I think it's a very menacing creature to deal with. I think it's emblematic of Pikmin 2's balance, and I think it's a great addition. It's a lot of fun. It looks like a turkey with a face shield. It looks like an engine. It looks kind of like a fish too. It's a weird and fucked up creature, and I love it a lot. Let's talk really quickly about the Flint Beetle family. You throw things at them, you throw Pikmin at them, and they knock over and they drop shit. Sometimes it's a treasure, sometimes it's farts that are poison, which is really obnoxious, but not that big a deal. And sometimes it's nectar. Most of the time it's nectar, or pellets. I don't feel super strongly about these guys, but I think they got a really cool design. I'm excited to eat them. I think that whenever I make the recipes for these three guys, I'm going to be really excited. I'll be referencing Louie's notes for these, so I think it'll be a good time to eat them. I really don't have much of a strong opinion beyond that. I've always wanted to eat these guys. Honestly, these guys are like the inspiration for me getting into eating Pikmin creatures. So we're gonna see how I feel about those. The Sheargrub family. We're just gonna get into all of them. So the female Sheargrub, the male Sheargrub, and the Shearwig. All three of them, they kind of fill the same purpose. They are fodder enemies. The female Sheargrub especially, these do literally nothing. These are just essentially, you look at them and you have Pikmin that need to be repopulated, a bunch of Sheargrubs show up, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to deal with these guys now, so they either don't take up my bridge, or they just like very lightly repopulate. Male Sheargrubs, you'd think because I'm primarily a swarmer, they'd be an issue for me. They're not. You will always have enough Pikmin to overwhelm a Sheargrub. You should basically never lose a Pikmin to a Sheargrub. Like, unless you have never played the game before, you can do something to stop them. Like, they have pretty cool designs, though. I like the male Sheargrub quite a bit. It's got a very stark purple and brown design to it. It's very of the era, reminds me of stuff from Sega at the time as well. Kind of looks like a Billy Hatcher enemy. Very GameCube looking enemy, very cool. The Shearwig is probably the closest to like a real looking insect in the whole game. Like, I know it's a very small alteration from the male Sheargrub, but damn, these guys are partying. These guys really do look like insects, and that's cool. It kind of reminds you of the scale of the game. Speaking of looking like insects, the Cloaking Baronet. These guys with their hermit crab design and their like kind of like beetle-like face and their front stinger. These guys have always looked like real bugs to me too. I really love the design of the Cloaking Baronet in Pikmin 2. I don't like what they do to these guys in like the future entries. I don't know. The shell design in Pikmin 2 to me is so cool looking. I think that like the streaks of light and like the red eyes and just like how pale and sunken in the faces, how this thing kind of looks like it was like a capsule at one point. I don't know. Everything about this design really speaks to me. I love the Cloaking Baronet. I think it's very cool looking. Also, I like the detail of its legs and nose having like a red tint to it, almost like it's been like stabbing its prey for a long time, and those are not like natural colors of it, but they're stained. I think that's very neat. Ravenous Whisker Pillars. These guys are just purely obnoxious. Berry farming is already an annoying enough mechanic when it comes down to the actual effort it takes to grind sprays. Ravenous Whisker Pillars are such a non-factor when it comes to berry farming, but they just take up like a minute out of your day maximum to deal with. And they just kind of suck, and they're gross, and they're stinky. I don't like these guys. I think their design is ugly. They kind of look like a Mario worm, and I don't like them. They're ugly, and they ruin my life a little bit, the fact that they exist. The Anode Beetle. I think Anode Beetles are a phenomenal entrance to how threatening electricity can be, and I think that these guys are really funny. The designs of them are great, they're very cute creatures, and oh my god, they are just new player traps. New player traps or anyone that is not paying attention. Like I said, I've been playing the Pikmin 2 hack with my girlfriend, and just watching... she's very good at the game at this point. We're very deep into it. We're about to finish off the game. We're about to collect every treasure. And I still sometimes see her walk a crowd of Pikmin into an Anode Beetle. It's hard to see. The fact they can shoot through cave walls is ridiculous. If you are not actively paying attention, an Anode Beetle will catch you at every level of play. And I think that's very funny. Lightning/electricity is just such a genuinely awful effect to deal with in this game. And that's great. I'm glad at least one of the elements in this game is obnoxiously difficult. I kinda wish Pikmin 2 didn't nerf fire so hard, so fire creatures could still feel this threatening as well. But, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Anode Beetles, and I wish that other electricity-based creatures in the future felt as threatening as they do. Metites are... gross. I don't know what it is, but even as a child, like, the way that Pikmin, like, get freaked out by these things, they've always just made my skin crawl. The very unnatural, like, white and pink look to them, they've always just, like, I don't know, they've always made me feel sick. They're gross. They're disgusting creatures that make your Pikmin run around, and they come out of eggs, and they made me scared as I started playing Pikmin when I was 4 or 5 years old. I got scared of opening eggs and just dealt with leaf Pikmin most of the time, because I got scared of Metites. They were scary. They're gross. They're gross and nasty, and I didn't like them. As a 25-year-old adult, I don't have any problem dealing with them, especially since whenever they show up, I throw a purple and somehow 55 of them fucking die, and then now there's just nectar for days. But I don't like them. I think they're nasty. Hermit Crawmads. These guys suck. These guys suck ass. Not a fan. I think that their design is fun. You know, they have the boisterous butt. They look like crawdads up in the front. They're very crustacean-like. But, I don't know. I say I don't like them, but realistically, I like the fact that there's an enemy that wants you to bait them with the C-stick. You know, you use the C-stick to use your Pikmin to swarm. You bait them out up front. This is just going to happen to me every single time, isn't it? This is so sad. But you use your Pikmin to bait them, and then you like shake. You can use the C-stick to like shake your Pikmin at them, and you hold down on the C-stick to move the Pikmin out of the way, and then you can use the Pikmin that are already moving around to swarm it, kill it. It's a good feeling thing to do, but again, I don't know. Something about their design, the little snivelly little face, just makes me feel a little sick. I don't know. I think they're kind of gross, but this is one of those ones that I am excited to eat as well. Swooping Snitchbug and the Bumbling Snitchbug. I'm going to talk about both these kind of at once as well. The purple Pikmin, just fuck these guys up. Purple Pikmin make it to where these guys are a complete non-issue. One purple Pikmin will stop a swooping Snitchbug in its tracks and prevent it from being able to fly altogether. I do not think they should be that bad. Swooping Snitchbugs also get completely nullified in endgame of even being slightly annoying because you just get the Pluckaphone. Once you get the Pluckaphone, these guys literally cost you a couple seconds and that's it. Like, there is no threat to these guys whatsoever. They don't even really get in the way of bigger fights. They're just kind of whatever. They are creatures that are there in the Pikmin 2 playthrough, which kind of sucks because they have such a cool design. I love that evolution for these guys was not kind, and they just have to use their big antennas to fly. They don't actually have any sort of good way to fly. They fly with their shitty little antennas. It makes them very bad at it, but they're very iconic. It's a very iconic design to me. Whenever I think about Pikmin enemies, the swooping Snitchbug definitely comes to mind. Less so than the bumbling Snitchbug. If you are good at Mario Party or circle mashing in general, these guys are also completely nullified. That being said, being forced to dismiss all of your Pikmin, even in a crowded area, can really suck. But again, one purple Pikmin just ruins this guy's life forever. So, any damage you allow these guys to do, or any crowd control you lose out on because of them, is like literally your fault. So I don't necessarily feel that strongly about them. But I also don't like their design very much. I think it's very clear what the swooping Snitchbug is trying to be. It's like it's an overgrown fruit fly that has these antennas that are being used as wings. It's got its nasty little hands. You know, it looks like it's scheming. It's got a very clear design. This guy, I don't know. I don't really know what it's supposed to be. I don't understand the design philosophy of its design. I don't care too much for it. Just kind of a weaker Snitchbug, even though it's got a more interesting effect. The Careening Dirigibug. These guys are the shit. These guys are so cool. I think the Careening Dirigibug is an amazing addition to Pikmin 2 because bomb rocks are a devastating force to deal with. If there is a single Dirigibug, if you are not dealing with it, there is a segment of the map you are simply not allowed to touch. Dirigibugs in a crowded environment can just cause mass chaos. Bomb rocks are so... You can't fuck with a bomb rock, because when that timer is going down, you can't touch it, you can't pick it up, you can only run away from it. And these guys, if you don't deal with them, can crowd an area with bomb rocks. Like, I don't know. I think explosives in this game are so dangerous to deal with, and a Dirigibug, when mixed with any other enemy, can become such a large problem. And they start to put... They really do introduce you to the Dirigibug with multiple of them at once. So you'll have, like, a small, condensed cave with not a lot of space to move, and lots of Dirigibugs chucking bomb rocks at you. You have to make a decision and deal with something quickly. I really like how much these guys force you to decision-making, and also just to how much time constraint they put on you. It's cool. I like that... Just in general, I like that Pikmin 2's design philosophy for enemies converts a lot of the Pikmin 1 gameplay of focusing on min-maxing your time, dealing with enemies and grabbing ship parts, to kind of be like crowd control almost. Like the amount of time you would be spending thinking about how to optimize your day, you're kind of thinking about optimizing surviving against a lot of these super condensed, super powerful enemies in a really small place. I'm not sure if that gameplay loop is exactly shared, like, I'm not sure if that's a shared opinion by most people. That's how I feel about these. I think it's really cool. The antenna beetle is strictly annoying. I think that the idea of the antenna beetle being a creature that can show up and whistle your Pikmin and get them off of you and fuck up the treasure radar is very cool. I think these guys are just a little bit too obnoxious to deal with because they just fuck off into the ether from time to time. And if you're too close to them when they land, then they just fuck off again. They're a little bit too annoying to kill, which I understand is the point, but I don't know. I think that I don't like them in their current implementation. I just think they're annoying. I don't think they're fun to fight. Spotted jelly floats, lesser and greater, they're kind of the same thing in different sizes. Jelly floats, on their own, are basically just boofed up Snitchbugs. They really don't do too much more than the Snitchbugs do if you have any sort of game sense whatsoever. Obviously, these guys can actually kill Pikmin, which is something that the Snitchbugs can't do. But I mean, if you are losing Pikmin to a jelly float, you just don't care and want them to die. You have to be so inactive to allow these guys to actually do anything. Maybe if they killed Pikmin faster, they'd be a problem, but even in a crowded environment, these guys don't contribute anything. You get like 600 fucking years to get your Pikmin out of them. I think they're a very cool design that is a little limited by just not being powerful enough. I'll talk about all the elemental Dweevils at once, because they're all kind of the same thing except for the Anode Dweevil. Dweevils are interesting. You know, they pick up your shit. They pick up corpses, they pick up treasures, and they are a mild annoyance. None of them really matter except the Anode and Volatile Dweevil, because they don't do anything. The Anode Dweevil, because it's electricity-based, actually has a chance of killing Pikmin. But none of the other ones do. I mean, they have the super long startup on their attack, they do an elemental effect, and then that's it. They get stunned super easily by purple Pikmin, they have no health, one singular Pikmin is enough to get them to drop their treasure. These guys are a mild annoyance at absolute worst. You just swat them like a fly and they go away. This does not apply to the Volatile Dweevil. The Volatile Dweevil is a bomb rock with legs that is determined to make your entire Pikmin squad lost media. These guys are devastating to deal with, and again, as you probably noticed, anything that I think in this game has an ounce of difficulty to it, I'm a big fan of. I think the fact that they just dropped an enemy in this game that can drop from the sky, chases your Pikmin down, and blows the fuck up for no reason is super dope. The Toady Boister. This thing sucks. I can't even think if they used the common enemy version of this thing more than once. They drop one of them in the Perplexing Pool, and it's got such an obvious weak point with the big brown growth on it. You just throw Pikmin at it, and it dies. It doesn't fight back. It hardly shakes them off, and it makes the sound of a cow for some reason. I don't know. I think these things suck. Like, pretty cool idea, and their bigger variant is very neat, but I don't know. I don't feel too strong. But talk about downgrades from game to game. The Wollywogs got mogged in Pikmin 2. These guys used to mean something. I don't know if you guys have played Pikmin 1 if you're a Pikmin 2 fan, but the Wollywogs used to like actually be threatening. Wollywogs themselves were almost like mini-bosses in Pikmin. But in Pikmin 2, these guys suck. Like, if you just don't whistle your Pikmin, it's almost like they can't kill them. If you whistle your Pikmin and force them to get crushed, then that's like kind of on you. I don't know, the Wollywog got such a massive nerf in Pikmin 2 that they're kind of a non-threatening enemy at this point, and they really do just get worse as the games go on. I know I said I'm primarily focusing on the Pikmin 2 versions, but like, what a fall from grace. In Pikmin 1, these guys are a true threat to be reckoned with, but in Pikmin 2, like a squad of like 5 Pikmin, these guys really aren't harder than water dumples. If you have enough Pikmin to take out a water dumple, you can pick out a Wollywog. Wogpoles are just like annoying. They don't do anything, they just swim around and be annoying. 46 and 47, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're probably the Candy Pop Buds. We're going to restart this. Probably the Candy Pop Buds. Yeah, Lapis and Crimson Candy Pop Buds. All Candy Pop Buds in general, I will share like one general opinion on. I think that the oh no, hold on, let me get out of here. I think that the idea of Candy Pop Buds is very cool. That you have just like a Pikmin converter, again, in these caves where you can't get Pikmin other than Queen Candy Pop Buds. I think it's cool that you can convert the Bulbmin into Pikmin that you can keep with you outside of the cave. But I don't see myself using them very often, because typically whenever I enter a cave, I'll just pre-plan. I'll just bring the Pikmin that the cave requests, and I'm generally good to go. They're very nice to have in a pinch if something goes horribly wrong, but realistically, the red, blue, and yellow Candy Pod Bud I am not using very often. The Queen Candy Pod Bud, being a duplicator super deep into a cave, can be ultra nice. Just the ability to generate new Pikmin when things have gone super horribly wrong is so awesome. But again, you never know what Pikmin type you're going to need, so realistically, I just do whatever I currently have on me and can call it a day. That being said, the Ivory and Violet Candy Pop Buds, the purple and white ones respectively, are so awesome. I love that the purple and white Pikmin don't have onions. I think the fact that the purple and white Pikmin are just exclusively cave Pikmin you have to go out of your way for makes managing them so much better. Because they are very, very strong. They are the strongest Pikmin types. They may not have elemental weaknesses. Poison's kind of used as an element, and whites can deal with that. But purples may not have elemental like strength, but that doesn't matter because purples are so ungodly strong. If purples had an onion, they would be unprecedented strong. Like they'd be an unprecedented field strength resource. You would just have no threat. You could just walk down everything except fiery bullblaxes, I guess, with relative ease, with like no threat whatsoever. A squad of purple Pikmin is already enough to wipe almost everything in the game with no effort. But you have to go out of your way to grind for these. You have to go out of your way to make the game like that. I think that's a genius strategy. I think it's genius that these Pikmin types are as strong as they are because they are limited to how much time you want to put in. If you yourself decide you want 100 purple Pikmin for everything and you grind to have like a 200 purple Pikmin in your ship party, then go ahead and mow down everything in your way with purples. But you are going to spend 600 fucking years moving everything back to the ship. Same with whites. Whites are unbelievably good at maneuvering around, moving your ship parts, moving corpses, and helping repopulate all your other colors of Pikmin. But they themselves are very weak in combat outside of just being eaten. So unless you plan on having a bunch of them just to be eaten, they are super tough to keep in line. They're super tough to keep alive because, I mean, again, they're so weak. So again, making them cave Pikmin means there's more incentive to try and keep them alive, even though their primary damage method is through sacrifice. It's a very interesting dichotomy. Purple and white Pikmin add a lot to the Pikmin ecosystem as far as like what you're actually thinking about in your party, and having them relegated to just the caves as their main form of repopulation is very cool. Not too much more here to go. The Creeping Chrysanthemum. Oh my god, this design is so scary. The eyeballs and the flowers is freaky, and whoever decided to like launch this design is a freak. This guy is horrifying. The flower nipples, the creepy head, the way the body is designed, these just like super unsettling dances. Like, again, as a child, this guy scared the shit out of me. This guy made it hard to get through the early stages of Pikmin 2 because he's so freaky. Even when he falls over like that, the way the screen shakes, the way that he moves around, I don't know. I've always found the Creeping Chrysanthemum to be very creepy. I love how scary this design is. Even though the enemy itself isn't that threatening, it can easily die to a swarm and some intelligent play, attacking you from the sides and the back. I don't know. It just works. It just works. It fits the world so well. And again, that screen shake when it knocks itself over, it just feels strong. It feels like a very powerful enemy, even though, you know, it isn't. It's fairly common. I love it. I love the Creeping Chrysanthemum. I love what it adds to the world, and I love that every time you see Chrysanthemum flowers, you have to look for the eyeballs. You never know if there's going to be one that jump scares you. Skitter leaves, little leaves that run around. They're non-threatening. I like them. I think they're cute little leaf buggies. I like that they have like little stick faces with like kind of like little berry eyes. They're fun designs. They're very cute. They're like the only Pikmin creature I think that wouldn't be super out of place in a different game like Pokemon, like a very slight redesign to be less realistic. I love them. I think they're very cute. Unmarked Spectralids. These are my main method of farming juice. The fact that you can get bitter spray and spicy spray from them and they show up pretty frequently in caves pretty awesome. Purples and yellows are very good at taking these guys out, and I have gotten like 5 bitter sprays from a crowd of these before. It's very cool, and I would much rather do this any day than berry farm, so I appreciate them being in caves. Honey wisps are nice, especially in the Forest of Hope. In early game, it's a little tough to find nectar outside of the patch of grass by the ship. So having a honey wisp right by your first berry farm is really awesome, because you can just grab some nectar and you're good. I think the honey wisp design is really interesting. I'm not exactly sure what it's trying to be other than like a scary jellyfish with an egg, but they're very unique. It is a very unique, very Pikmin-y design. There's not many things in Pikmin that even look like the honey wisp, which is funny that I call it a Pikmin-y design. But it is nothing makes this sound, especially. The honey wisp has a very identifiable sound, which is really cool if you're looking for nectar. What is 56? Oh, Mamutas. Okay. Really? I'm surprised that I don't have that, seeing how much we use at the farm. The Mamuta is interesting, as it's one of the 2 optional bosses from Pikmin 1 to come back in this game. I guess there's 3, but it's one of the, like, from the impact side at the very least. The Mamuta, once you get the Pluckaphone especially, is just strictly helpful, unless he smacks you over and over, the captain. The fact that whenever he plants your dudes, they all become flowers is so excellent, especially since there is so many things. Like, there's going to be so many blowhogs that take your flowering away from you. It is nice to have Mamutas very deep into caves to be able to restore all of your flowers. They're typically paired with honey wisps, so they'll typically kind of like do the same role of either giving you nectar or flowering your Pikmin. But I just think the Mamuta is interesting as a design. The fact that it's got a lot of the same engravings as the onions, it's very clearly related to flowers in some regard. It itself is very cute. I'm a very big fan of how the Mamuta looks. Mamuta is probably my favorite overall design. I just think they're very wonderful creatures. They're very cute little rock guys. They look like they're related to the onions in somehow. And I'd love to know more about them. We'll probably never know more about them as far as like what they actually are, but they're very cool. I am a very big Mamuta fan. I'm also a big fan of the breadbug family and what they all look like. I think they're all really cute little creatures. This guy looks like a little roll of bread, and that is very wonderful. He makes very funny sounds when he walks around, and then whenever he drops an item, he screams. They're not very hard to deal with, and then once you kill them, all their treasures pop up out of their holes, so there's really no threat of them whatsoever in this game. But yeah, they are them. I mean, obviously the breadbug and the giant breadbug are at their most important in the glutton's kitchen. Beyond that, the breadbug has a very minor presence, but breadbugs are cool. I like that there's something that incentivizes you to work quickly, otherwise it's going to be a little bit of an ordeal to grab the treasures from them. But if they're a little bit too easy to deal with, I don't know how you would deal with that. I don't know how you would adjust that, though. So I'm okay with it just being like a little easy to deal with. You just grab the... If you see them moving with something, you just put more Pikmin on it than it's worth than it's carrying with. And yeah, you're able to just snatch it from it, and then the breadbug dies whenever it hits the ship and falls over. You might need one Pikmin snipe to finish it off, but yeah. Breadbugs, pretty minor enemy. Clovers are very pretty. I think that a lot of the foliage, I'm not gonna have much to say about the foliage, frankly. But clovers are very cool. It's cool they show up in this game. It's cool they are able to still thrive despite how much Earth has changed. Common glowcaps, very pretty. Dandelions, also very pretty. Something interesting about Pikmin foliage is that almost all foliage left in the Pikmin universe, as far as like the flowers we interact with, are all different forms of weeds or funguses. Even the pellet posy itself is a type of flower that seems to be related to weeds in some way. I wonder what that's insinuating. I wonder if the insinuation is that most surviving plant life in this world has some sort of synergy with not synergy, but they're all somewhat parasitic in nature. Because Pikmin themselves are somewhat parasitic, so it'd be interesting if all plant life that's alive has some sort of parasitic tendencies to it, like horsetail. Margarets are the same flowers. They share a very similar model to chrysanthemum, so they do a really good job of disguising the creeping chrysanthemum, which I think is very cool. Fiddleheads is a very funny name of foliage. And then we have the shoot. Little stick of grass. Just for prosperity's sake, we're going to check 65. Foxtail, yeah. And then, yeah, glowstem. These are little LEDs that are typically found in the rust biomes. There's a red, a green, and a blue diode, which shows that this is the future, because blue diodes were really difficult to make. The Empress Bulblax. We're getting into the bosses now. The Empress Bulblax is significantly more interesting on her second fight, mostly because of those god-awful larvae I was talking about earlier. While the larvae do absolutely suck to fight, they make this otherwise joke of a boss fight at least pretty threatening, because it is so difficult to deal with the larva and the Empress Bulblax at the same time. The Empress Bulblax has the ability to roll down your entire squad of Pikmin if you make a mistake and overstep. The Empress Bulblax is very easy to deal with. She is tempting you so hard to overextend and throw all your Pikmin on, because with one shake, she can get them on both sides, and then at least half your squad is going to get rolled over, and there's very little you can do about it if you guess wrong. But if you just play like a little slow, or bring a bunch of purples to just absolutely nail her, the Empress Bulblax on her own isn't too big of a deal, especially her first visit. The Burrowing Snagret. Another enemy returning from Pikmin 1. These guys did also receive quite a bit of a health nerf. They do function pretty similarly, and they are used just about as frequently. Actually, if not more frequently, because there's just more game in Pikmin 2 than Pikmin 1. But the Burrowing Snagret has a really iconic design. I think outside of the Bulborb, the Burrowing Snagret is probably the most iconic Pikmin boss creature, because it is just so weird. Just an eagle head on a snake body that comes up out of the floor. And the insinuation versus the scale is that this thing is like a little bit bigger than like a caterpillar too. Like what a fucking weird what a weird thing. And as far as like fighting the Snagret, I love that this mechanic right here exists, where it can get stuck in the ground. It can give you time to swarm the head. It can give you time to get a bunch of Pikmin on the head as it's coming up. The fact that it has its two variations of how fast it can come up means that you can catch, regardless of your skill level, you can catch the Snagret as it's coming out of the ground, and you can learn just how to take the thing down super quickly. I'm glad that they start using it as a more common enemy, because it did not necessarily deserve boss status. It was never really that difficult, but as a tougher common enemy, it's at a perfect fit with how it's used in this game. The Beady Longlegs probably took the biggest downgrade of any enemy from Pikmin 1 to Pikmin 2, with its head being, I guess you can call it a head, its body being made significantly larger so all types of Pikmin can grab it, its feet not being as big, and it just having an absolutely pitiful amount of health. The Beady Longlegs goes from a super iconic design, a super well-designed boss fight in a super secluded arena, to kind of a joke that's easy to get around. I do love how the Beady Longlegs is our first look at a more technosyncratic environment in the Pikmin universe, though. In Pikmin's version of Earth, PNF 404, we start to see creatures that meld with technology, and the Longlegs family are the first to really continue this, they have this theme through almost all of them. Almost every Longlegs through the entire series history, beginning with Beady, has a technical aspect to it, where it is like part machine, part bug, and I just think that's so cool. It's a very cool bit of lore to develop enemies around. And we see that more with another boss we'll talk about later. We have the Emperor Bulblax returning from Pikmin 1. He is very much a shell of his former self as well, going from final boss material with a giant homing stomp attack, giant tongue, tons and tons of health, and a designated arena to borderline being spammed like a common enemy in the last half of this game, because 20 purples can just absolutely fumble his health before he's even able to move. The Emperor Bulblax has an amazing design, but this stumpy, small, 4th scale version of him makes him look kinda stupid in comparison to his Pikmin 1 version, IMO. I just think the Emperor Bulblax in this game he's honestly not even memorable. I kind of forget he's in the game, just because of how much weaker he is, and the small little stumpy design of him doesn't really do much for me. The giant bread bug, I have not much more to say versus the smaller bread bug. Same thing applies. I already talked about the Glutton's Kitchen as well. So, that, but purple Pikmin that are required to hit him. The Pileated Snagret is a fucking nightmare creature, honestly. This thing is, while it has all the same pluses, I would say, of the regular Snagret, it eats so damn fast. I don't know why it's in a wall, but it being able to just like jump around and shit and move outside the ground and also crush Pikmin with its stupid fucking foot makes this thing way more of a threat than it should be. The Snagret was perfectly balanced as it was. This is a great way to make the Snagret an actual boss fight, but I don't think I want that. I don't think it's very fun to deal with. The Snagret's not easy to hit, and unlike the Burrowing Snagret, where it's kind of like a bonus, and you get like some extra damage off whenever its head gets stuck. You kind of need the Pileated Snagret to get stuck to even hit it, because it's so damn tall. Like, you can get some stray Pikmin on it, but not without it being able to reach over, lurch over, and eat a bunch. It feels so hard to fight this thing without trading. It's not very fun, especially if you're trying to play Deathless at all. Is 76 the man at legs? Yes, it is. Okay. So, the man at legs, I wish I could show the design, I wish I actually had it here, is my favorite of the new bosses in Pikmin 2. While it isn't very strong as a boss, like it's not the hardest thing in the world to fight, the first time you encounter the man at legs, and it just like comes out of the ground, its steam shooting out, its body splitting in half to reveal the machine gun, it's freaking scary. It is a scary boss, and it's the first thing in the Pikmin series to just straight up brandish a gun against you. And that's very cool. It's a very sick design. Let's see if I can actually pull up a picture of it here on the wiki. This is as it appears in Pikmin 4, I believe, but it's got this one metal leg and then 3 biological legs. It's another mixture of biological parts and machine. It is the first directly mentioned hybrid in the game. Like, the ship actually mentions the fact that it is a technology creature. It's very cool. I don't know. I love how much it brings to Pikmin 2's lore by existing. I love its fight. I think it's really cool that it's a fight that benefits you prioritizing your captain's movement and prioritizing your captain's placement. I think it's a fight that doesn't get completely nullified by purples because I mean they're too slow, so they actually get mowed down whenever you're running around if you aren't kiting them super well. It's a fight that prioritizes you having flowered Pikmin as well. So if you have a bunch of leaves, they're probably going to be the first to go. And you can't really leave your Pikmin in a safe area because you never know where the man at legs is going to be. And because it can pull out a ranged weapon, you just have to deal with it with your whole squad. I think that's very cool. There's no good cheese against it like there is for a lot of bosses or enemies in this game. The Ranging Bloister is the best use of the Captain mechanic in Pikmin 2. The fact there is only one boss fight that requires / incentivizes the switching of captains from Olimar to Louis is a little ridiculous. It's very cool that the Ranging Ballista gives you a visual indicator of how to fight it by glowing either red or blue depending on who your captain is. But other than that, it is just a Ballista again. In its arena, in its intended habitat where you're going to actually fight it the 2 times, it's not too hard to deal with. It is a much better fight the second time when it is flanked by a bunch of armored cannon beetles, but it's still not that complicated to deal with. I think it's a very good... Oh wow, nice. It's a very good implementation of saving what would otherwise be an extremely lame enemy. What is there to say about the Water Wraith? The Water Wraith is so cool. There's nothing I can say about the Water Wraith that other people haven't said. The Water Wraith is the most famous, unique enemy in Pikmin 2, and for good reason. The Submerged Castle is probably the most famous cave in Pikmin 2, and for good reason. The Water Wraith quite literally brings the timing mechanic of Pikmin 1 back to the forefront by making an entire cave designated around the fact that if you don't get the fuck out from floor to floor in a couple of minutes, you're going to have to deal with an incomprehensible force that there's nothing you can do against. Encountering the Water Wraith is scary the first time, encountering the Water Wraith is scary the 100th time, and then the absolute comical fight at the end where the purples just make it shrivel up and cry is emblematic of everything that makes Pikmin's writing, both in a world-building sense and a literal sense, phenomenal. Like, I cannot praise the Water Wraith enough. It is a perfect enemy, and it is one of the drops in the bucket that just makes Pikmin 2 such a special game. Alright, for the remaining bosses, we're going to have to look at PNGs of them on the Piklopedia. We got the segmented Crobster, the ranging long legs, and of course the Titaned Weevil. The segmented Crobster is probably the scariest boss you'll ever encounter in the game from the first time beyond the Titaned Weevil itself. When this thing drops from the sky, it is like horrifying. There's nothing in the game that looks like it. It starts rolling at you. The only thing you can do is try to get out of the way. If you do manage to get out of the way, all the rocks that spawn are synced to you, like to the captain. So now you've got to deal with these rocks, and those rocks, while they're falling, are eating into your time to actually attack the fucking dude. Getting a good cycle in the segmented Crobster requires a lot of patience and a lot of skill to know where to manipulate him, like know where to get him, so you can actually avoid the rocks and nail him. The rocks are slightly random, but the Crobster is still a fight that can definitely be learned, and the Crobster is extremely rewarding to get down. He is such a late game boss. He fits so well in the Cavern of Chaos after how difficult that cave is in general, and I think he's just a phenomenal addition to the game. Fantastic design, extremely scary fight, and just overall, no real notes. I love the segmented Crobster. I wish he had no ability to show up in randomizers or Caverns of Chaos, though, because he fucking sucks outside his arena. The Raging Longlegs is kind of a disappointing boss, all things considered. Like, yeah, it shows up in the Hole of Heroes, but I don't know, like, after the Hole of Heroes functions itself as like a little bit of a boss rush near the end, having the Raging Longlegs be the boss at the end almost feels unfitting, because it is not, it's got big feet. It's like kinda hard to deal with, but it's really not that tough to deal with. Sure, it can regain health. Sure, it's got big feet so it can deal with a lot of Pikmin at once. But if you just, like, keep a steady stream of attacking it, then it really goes down not that much harder than the beady Longlegs itself, leading it to me to be probably the weakest boss fight in the entire game. It feels pretty directly recycled, and I don't know. It's like, it just kind of functions the way the beady almost should. It doesn't feel different enough to warrant how deep into the game it is. And then we have the Titaned Weevil. Here we see it in its fully armored form with all of its weapon treasures, and Louis, the Bug Master on top of it. The Titan Dweevil is, I would consider, and many other would consider, to be the true final boss of Pikmin 2. It has these gigantic pincers that don't really do anything, but beyond that, it's got its 4 elemental weapons, the Comedy Bomb, and the fucking other ones that I never remember the name of because they're not as funny. But elemental damage in this game doesn't matter too much, but it matters a whole lot when you're dealing with all of it all at once. The Titan Dweevil is such an amazing fight because it encapsulates every part of what makes Pikmin 2 gameplay so fun. You get the treasure collecting, the elemental defending, the super tight combat, and just dealing with so much all at once in this fight in such a condensed way. There are entire video essays on just how great the Titan Dweevil itself is. The fact that it is 5 treasures in one, and this amazing boss fight, it's emblematic of everything that makes Pikmin 2 such a fucking good game. And it's emblematic of just how great the creature design in general is. It comes full circle with it being another spider. There's a lot of new spiders in Pikmin 2, with the Dweevil family beginning to exist here as well, and it being ended with the biggest Dweevil of them all feels very fitting. And so we circle back to where it all began, with the Red Bulborb and the Red Dwarf Bulborb. Thank you so much for being here for this hour of me talking about the various creatures in the Piklopedia of Pikmin 2. I love Pikmin 2 very much. I have played a ton of this game, and this will not be my only trek through the Piklopedia on this channel. I plan on doing a Piklopedia review like this of all the other Pikmin games, including Hey Pikmin and Pikmin Squared, as well as going through the Pikmin 2 Piklopedia to eat every single entry, well, not every entry, but every animal using Louie's notes as well. So look forward to that. We are going to start that throughout this year. I'm going to try and get through at least a good chunk of them. I'm going to try and get to some of the ones that I've never seen anyone do before. We're of course going to start with the Red Bulborb, but I would like to also get to some of the ones people haven't done before, like the Flint Beetles. So thank you so much for being here. Like and subscribe for more Pikmin content, I guess. I'll be doing other speedrun shit, but also I'll be doing a lot more Pikmin content going forward. So if you like Pikmin content, like and subscribe, and I will see you some other time. Goodbye!